North Waltham. I went to the Waltham schools. I went to Waltham High School. I went to BU. And I came back to Waltham High School. I taught at Waltham High School for 44 years. And I taught law and I taught history. And being a young teacher, particularly, well, actually for quite a while, I had to have two jobs with mortgages and everything else. So I worked a variety of second jobs, and one was being an after-school driver road teacher, driver education teacher. And there was a kind of a poignant memory that I have that I thought I'd share with you. I worked at CAMS, I worked at Alex, I worked at some places that Waltham people might know, but I worked at Pleasant Auto School in Boston, almost downtown Boston on Dorchester Ave. And one day I go in the summer to get my schedule, and this is a schedule board. So 3 or 4 of us, the teachers, we pull our schedules down, we look at our schedules, we talk about them a little, in case, you know, one person knows another person, good driver, or watch out, or whatever. And I noticed as I pull my schedule down, a couple of the other teachers, more senior than I was 25, I think, give themselves a kind of a arched eyebrow look, which might have been a tip-off that maybe somebody on my schedule was of interest to them. So I look, and 3 or 4 people I already had. I had the students, and then I had 3 or 4 people I didn't know. I was going to work 8 hours, so an hour each. Later that morning, I get to my 3rd student, who I didn't know, and I wait outside a Dorchester address, and a woman comes out, and she's, to me, she was middle-aged. And even to me, she was old, but now I would think differently. But she was nicely dressed. She came over to the car and sat in the front. I already had moved over and had it going. And I look at her sheet, and she had already had 10 lessons. Now, a regular student at Waltham High or whatever, has 6 lessons, and you go for your license. 10. But 10 wasn't unusual for an adult, because adults know a lot more about, the fears, the dangers of driving. So if anything, I was kind of reassured that she might, at least be able to handle the car, and we can do some more, like technicalities and things that I ordinarily wouldn't do. So she was very nicely dressed. She smiled sweetly as she got in and said hello. I introduced myself, and I said, all right, we're gonna put her in drive, and we're gonna proceed down the street. Now I have to get to East Boston next, because one student drives for an hour, picks up the next, and then I gotta come back to Dorchester. And I realized she doesn't know which way to turn the wheel to go out onto the street. In my horror, I realized I'm going to have to, thank God we have a double braking system. We got a brake. I'm going to have to reach across and steer from the right-hand side. I can't gas but we're going to have to poke our way along, and I'm going to have to brake and steer and get to East Boston. And I'm not going to go through every detail, but she wasn't, she was nonplussed about it. She was smiling. And we got there. Long story short, we get there, and later that day, I'm finished with my day, and I go back to the office, and there's 3 or 4 instructors are there. And I do see the ones that were looking around before, looking funny. And I said, okay, guys, you're going to tell me what the hell was going on with this Mrs. V, I'll call her. And they say, and they laughed, which I don't encourage anyone to do. I mean, They laughed. And I said, what's the story? And they said, don't you get it, kid? One of them says, don't you get it, kid? She's not interested in driving. It's a date. And they said, and another one said, and she's known in every school around. And every new driver gets her. And, but I really wanted to end with, that's when I learned that loneliness is everywhere. And I try to always remember that.
Oh, wow.